Next. And next, introduction. The establishment MMEP, Marmara Edu Park, which is a nature-based tourist spot and maintains and preserves natural ecosystem. Also improve the socio-economic system of local community group. The collaboration between these two social groups has made in organized called Metal. The distance of the tourism boundary adjacent to the landing and takeoff of Amatiani airports make this door questionable for the safety of tourism, as well as the police of the airport, which states that the Maramangre Edu Park ecology tour is permanent closed. Here it is explained that this tourist spot, which was built and managed directly by Metal, had to be closed, but it didn't stop it there. These Metal members continue to preserve mangrove in existing milkfish ponds and also executed mangrove by planting them in their yards or simply planting them in the pots. The Metal organization maintains its organization even though the area is diverse. And next, research method. Um, research method based on the method, it can call database on directly or indirectly in the field. With its research method, it can also be based on observation, interview, and documentation. The author can see and analyze local event to so that it can be built be Metal. Why I use this method, because environment the main source and of understanding about mixed ponds and mangrove, and also the interview invite the author to better understand the social culture style of this farmer in education milkfish and mangrove ponds. And the determination of the informant was taken with several Metal members in Tawang Mas, approximately 5 people on of the directly be the chairman of Metal, but Mr. Rosmadi. The research has started on February 2021. And next, result and discussion. In here, Tawang Mas is the replacement area for Tugurejo as the spread of mangrove planting with the chosen of ecology tourism not being a matter of dismantling social group that have been created. Mangrove as adjective for social group must be maintained even though the place of the main founder has not been built. The measure the sustainable system 3 dimensions of needed, namely the ecology, economy, and social culture dimension. This theory is the human ecology, which is associated with Metal Mekartani Lindung as a social group that stand as influenced social system because of human relationship with humans. Meanwhile, milkfish ponds and mangrove are placed an area for Metal to manage nature. Here it is explained that Tawang Mas is the reference area. The environment can influence the way thinking and patterns of human behavior so as to create a new culture that is understood by the environment. The Metal chairman with a sense of mangrove's existence who feels that there are many benefits in managing it, along with his wife who sell product homes made snack and from mangrove leaves, and the fruit can also be exported into natural drink juice that are well known to several Semarang UMKM or stand for micro, small, and medium enterprises. The ecology aspect maintains the life of the mangrove by preserving in the brackish water as well as in the pots. Mangrove planted with fresh weather can still grow, but their growth is slow, unlike if they live in their habitat. And Medallion nut from its habitat and with fresh water can also grow well. The selection of a place with continuous monitoring of the mangrove, sun and light can be trusted by metal members to be able to develop in new area. No. This is planting mangrove. It puts with fresh water. And the last constellation. The metal organization is an organization format because of the system of social group that occur in a family. Why one member know each other well. The organization was formed with the exchange of MMP, Mangrove Edu Park, Ecology Tourism, not an organization formed because of the recruitment of a tourism area gitu. Creating new ideas for coastal communities in Tawang Mas metals form of creativity and embracing the community to development mangrove sustainability of not easy weather. Okay. This is the end of my presentation, more or less. Sorry and thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Silda, for the presentations. And I would like to open the Q&A session. Is there any question from the audience?
From me, Mbak.
Okay, so Mr. Zaki.
Mbak Zilda, sorry. I ask what's the name? Metal.
Yeah.
Metal is created by themselves or by government. The organization created by themselves or by government. I mean, government program or something like that.
Oh, so
they create their self by themselves or by government they create the organization. Who create the organization? Who create the metal organization?
Metal is organization.
Create by themselves. Create by themselves or by government.
I think metal is I don't know.
What one of it?
Metal is from Mekar Tani Lindung, is from the abstract. Yeah, I just read the abstract. It's a group of farmers and fishermen by planting mangrove trees. I think it's a community. I don't know, community group maybe, Mbak Zilda.
Yes, community group.
Or government or its community.
Community.
Yes.
Community. Communication is from MMEP. Dia apa sih to organization apa sih collaboration to groups.
Collaboration with who?
With farmers and milk fish.
Milk fish, bandeng, Mbak ya?
Iya, benar.
Oke. Oke, siap. Oke, Mbak Moderator, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zaki, for the question. And thank you also, Mbak Silda, for the presentations.
Okay.
And we will move to the next presenters. It will be 1971. Unfortunately, the presenters cannot join us, so we would like to play the video that she sent to us. The host, could you please help me to play the video?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to have the opportunity to address such a distinguished audience. Diversity of women in a negative stigma environment, Simone de Beauvoir existentialist feminist study. This presentation were made by Laura Andri as a head of research, Khatibul Umam, and me, Vinaya Mahotama Sasalancana, as a member. Prostitution is a societal disease where a woman sells herself for a living. Society views negatively the activity of peddling sex because prostitution is against moral and religious values. No matter what people think about prostitution, in reality, this work has existed for hundreds of years and no one has been able to erase it from the face of this earth. Prostitution is one way of society to overcome poverty. The research focus is directed at the existence of diversity women with an existentialist feminist review of Simone de Beauvoir. Next, the location of the research was chosen because this area has a long history of prostitution practice and is still ongoing today. In addition, the practice of prostitution does not only take place overseas but also in the form of local prostitution in the region. Method. This research is a qualitative descriptive research with analytic method. Data collection techniques were carried out through in-depth interview, observation, and documentation. In this regard, source of information from books, papers, articles, and research results that have relevance to the topic of this study will be used to sharpen the result of the study. The study also used a snowball sampling technique due to the limited knowledge and information of the research about the research population. The researchers asked for help from key information to show other people who can be used as further information. Result and discussion. The education level of diversity women is still relatively low. Another reason that strengthens this perception is that if women have higher education than men, it will be difficult to find a husband. The reason is that men will feel that women are more dominant or more dominant than themselves. The number of people who do not go to school is 37.2%, 28% graded from elementary school, 19.5% graded from junior high school, 12.4% graded from high school, and 2.6% based PT, women and their role in society. 1. The role of women in village government. Women community organizations are listed in the institutional structure of the village government. There are even special rules that state that there must be a representation of women in village institutional structure, such as BPD, LPMD. There are two villages where the position of village secretary is held by a woman, namely Dukuseti and Kembang village. 2. The role of women in sociocultural activities. Siti Rufiah. He approaches prostitutes and their families as well as former prostitutes. He invites prostitutes and their families as well as former prostitutes to attend Idaroh Tahlilan once a week. Idaroh is a collaborative activity to develop a business to achieve certain goals. Siti Rufiah also often gives arms to the underprivileged. Mustafa and Musaida. The two men also carried out their dakwah strategy by giving arms. They also preached at recitation events or training events and routine gatherings. The dakwah material is also packaged attractively to reduce prostitution activities and prevent prostitution from spreading. Siti Mutahharah. Siti Mutahharah has a unique way of reducing prostitution activities. In addition to providing spiritual guidance, she invited her closest neighbor or relative to inflate the tires on the motorbike cars of measures, set trap on the road, and scare the newsmen, the stripes. Independent women. In general, women are positioned as those who are supported by men, not to provide for men. Even if there are women who try to work outside their domestic area, they will be considered as violating their nature or not according to existing stereotypes. The reason is that the general public considers women's work as filling their spare time to help their husband and children, or at least increase the cost for kitchen needs. If only there are women who violate these rules, society will view this as wrong and will be underestimate. Working women. On average, Duku City women has a double workload. Apart from working in public areas, the burden of domestic work still has to be done. These domestic responsibilities are considered women work. Wives often receive violent treatment from their husband and must also be responsible for caring for their children and husband as well as providing for the necessities of life for their family members. Poverty and lack of knowledge. Based on the result of interviews, 75% of women in Dugu City who are involved in prostitution are still wives or housewives. Each of them has their reasons and backgrounds why they are involved in the world of prostitution. Some were ordered by their husband, some were due to economic constraints. So, women had to work to help their husband meet the family needs. In addition, the modeling factor is also a reason for women to engage in prostitution. Some women in Duke City think that wealth and luxury are everything. Duke City mythology as legitimacy of negative stigma of women. According to the story of the Duke City community, Brojosati was the founder of Duke City village and had a very beautiful wife. After several years of marriage, his wife had an affair and was killed red-handed by Brojosati. Brojosati was angry with his wife. Because his anger could not be contained, Brojosati cursed his wife and all the village women that the women there would always commit bad deeds. Some Duku City people still believe in the curse. However, it could be that the story was deliberately presented as a justification for institutionalizing the culture of infidelity or even prostitution in Duku City. Society has become very loose as far as sex is concerned. For them, prostitution is already a destiny. Conclusion. The result of this study generally show that the existence of diversity women in an effort to fight the negative stigma of society is still very far from behavior expectations. Although some of them have succeeded in resisting and gaining their freedom, most of them are still trapped and have not been able to get out of this condition. To assert their existence, diversity women must carry out a process of transcendence, such as obtaining higher education, working, being independent, and being actively involved in community activities. However, this will not be easy if the diversity community in general does not support this process. I'd like to thank you for your time and attention today. Thank you so much for your interest and attention.
Okay.
Good
Yeah,
morning, ladies
because
and gentlemen.
okay, because presenter is not here, so we cannot perform the Q&A sessions, and we can move to the next presenters. It would be 1972 distribution of ecotourism object and the potential of marine tourism village in Sukakerta village, Cilmaya Wetan district, Karawang Regency, by Ibu Retami Alifani or Nurul Sri Rahatining Tias, Cheong Kyok Tim. No one? Okay, then we will move to the, okay, co-host. Okay, no. Co-host, raise your hand. No, okay. Okay, sorry. So, I don't know, for 2117, how about the ID paper? Pak Yoyon, right?
Yes, I am here.
Are you ready for the presentation? Because in my my sheet, we have some notes that you undur diri. Is that right or no?
I'm here, ready for presentation today.
Okay, so I would like to give you the time for presentation, but we have to confirm from the committee, because I don't know, because I just received the sheet and it was written undur diri. So just take your time to presentation, then we will confirm to the committee. Yeah, you have 10%, 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for the discussions. Okay, Pak Yoyan, the time is yours.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To all of us, reviewer, and I respect the participants. Thank you for coming to these presentations. Let me introduce myself. My name is Yoyon Wahyono. I'm from Doctoral Program of Environmental Science, School of Postgraduate Studies, Diponegoro University. And in this opportunity, I would like to present my paper. The title, Pellet as one of future promising biomass-based renewable energy review. Introduction. Depletion of fossil energy suffers and not environmentally friendly fossil energy emissions makes it necessary to use renewable energy as an alternative to replacing fossil energy. The pellet is one of the renewable energy based on biomass that exists in Indonesia. Biopellets are produced from a base of abundant biomass. Thus, biopellets have the potential and promise to continue to be used as fuel by humans. The pellet production was from materials containing cellulose, often of which come from agricultural waste such as wood, corn waste, and oil from empty feed plants. The adhesive is an essential ingredient in the manufacture of pellets. The use of adhesives aims to increase the bond of between particles. Therefore, the pellet is potential energy in the present and promising in the future. The study aims to determine a literature review on biopellets as biomass-based renewable energy fuel that has potential in the present and promising in the future. The study covers the characteristics of biopellets based on the Indonesian National Biopellet Standard and the application of biopellets as stove fuel. Writing method. The stage of article writing carry out first, preparation. Author formulates a problem or setting a theme that will be discussed in the article on biopellets as energy. Second, formulation of a theoretical framework. The author develops a theoretical framework for research that has been carried out on the characteristic of biopellets and application of biopellets as fuel. Third, article writing. The writing process uses reference, proceedings, and international journal articles. At this stage, the author describes the biopellet as potential and promising energy starting from the background of the problem, purpose of writing the article, and the results and discussion. Results and discussion. Characterization of biopellet. Table 1 shows characterization of biopellet according to Indonesian national standard. The biopellet characterization refers to the test method of the Indonesian national standard, so in table 1. Meanwhile, the standard geometry of the product is cylindrical, only 0.4 until 0.7 centimeter in diameter and 2.5 until 3.6 centimeter length. As content will shows as content of biopellets. Egg biopellets have met the Indonesian national biopellet standard for the S content parameter less than 15%. S in biopellets is a mineral that cannot be burned after the combustion process and contributes to a decrease in the quality of biopellets. S contains elements of silica, magnesium, potassium, and calcium are affect the caloric value of combustion. As has biomass contains high silica. The higher silica in the biomass, the higher the S content. As a result, we can reduce the caloric value of combustion. Fixed carbon content. Table 3 shows fixed carbon content of biopellets. The value of fixed carbon content of wood waste biopellet, hardwood chip project biopellet, camellia oil cake biopellet, and mulberry tree biopellet has met the Indonesian national biopellet standard for the parameter of fixed carbon content more than 14%. Meanwhile, the fixed carbon content of rice husk waste biopellet, cacao pod husk biopellet, water hyacinth biopellet, and two-stage tree biopellet did not meet Indonesian national standard. Small value of carbon content is thought to be due to the high S content and volatile matter content. Fixed carbon content greatly affects the amount of caloric value. The higher the fixed carbon content, the higher the caloric value. Therefore, the quality of the biopellet will be better. Caloric value. Table 4 shows caloric value of biopellets. The caloric value of rice husk waste biopellet, thick wood waste biopellet, cacao pod husk biopellet, hardwood reject biopellet, camellia oil biopellet at the Indonesian national biopellet standard for the caloric value parameter more than 4,000 calories per gram. Meanwhile, the caloric value of water hyacinth biopellet, mulberry tree biopellet, and stage tree biopellet did not meet Indonesian national standard. The low caloric value is due to the high S value, high volatile content, and small fixed carbon content. Caloric value is the essential parameter to determine the quality of biopellets. The higher the caloric value, the better the quality of biopellet. Water content. 5 shows water content of biopellets. The H biopellets, only the water content of wood has not met Indonesian national biopellet standard for water content less than 12%. Water content is one of the parameters determining pellet quality that affect the caloric value of combustion. Combustion power is of ignition and amount of smoke produced during combustion. The greater the water content in the fuel, the smaller the caloric value, and vice versa. The greater the water content in the fuel, the greater the amount of smoke produced during combustion, and vice versa. Volatile matter content. Table 6 shows volatile matter content of biopellets. The value of the volatile matter content of rice husk as biopellets, wood waste biopellet, cacao pod husk biopellet, and camellia oil cake biopellets have met the Indonesian national biopellet standard for the parameter volatile matter content less than 80%. Meanwhile, volatile matter content of water hyacinth biopellet, hardwood reject biopellet, barrel tree biopellet, and sage tree biopellet have not met Indonesian national standard. Volatile matter content is an indicator of the amount of smoke produced during combustion in the form of biopellets. Higher the amount of volatile matter in the biopellet, the more smoke is produced during the combustion process, and fuel efficiency decrease. Application of biopellets as stove fuel. Asona et al. Report that a biomass stove using a coffee husk waste biopellet, the thermal efficiency of the biomass obtained from the comparison between heat of evaporation of water and the heat generated by the biopellet. Biopellet stove has the CO emission test because CO emission do not exceed of 67,000 ppm. Adi and Andreas report that one small family can reduce the use of fossil fuels and LPG if they use biopellets as the primary energy source for household activities. Conclusions. Biopellet characteristically has complied with Indonesian national standard for parameters of gas content, carbon content, caloric value, water content, and volatile matter content. Application of biopellet as a stove fuel also shows good performance for heat, efficiency, and emission parameters. One small family can reduce the use of fuels and LPG 9 kg of LPG and 5.6 liters of kerosene per month of using biopellet as the primary energy source. Biopellet is a fuel that is easy to make, quality, and environmental value. This proves that biopellet is a biomass-based renewable energy fuel that has potential in the present and promising in the future. That's all for my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I would like to apologize if there's any mistake. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Yoyon, for the presentations. And I would like to open the Q&A session. Is there any question from the audience or the participants? We still have 1 or 2 questions, maybe. Not yet. Okay, so only 1 short question from me, Pak Yoyon. So as biopellet is one of renewable energy, right? So what do you think, is there any side effect for this for this invention to the environment?
Okay, the invention for the effect environment is better than fossil fuels because for my research in LCA, the biomass fuel can to release emission like CO2 hygienic, and then fossil fuel to release in air is CO2 biogenic is better than CO2 fossil.
So I think so the biopellets will be will impact in positively to the environment, right?
Yes.
And it's quite easy to find the biopellet in I don't know, in Semarang or in Central Java or in Indonesia maybe.
Yes. There's
Okay.
so many
Mhm.
biomass in Indonesia, in Semarang also.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Yoyon, for the presentation.
Mbak Novi,
Oh yes, Pak Zaki.
may I ask,
Yes, of course. Please.
Mas Yoyon nggih.
Okay.
Sorry, bioballet is made from commonly made from what kind of wood? What kind of wood? Something like pinus or another wood. Trees. What is trees?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Zaki. In my papers, is funding from my promoter in Dairaka project. The Dairaka, the location, the project location in Ungaran Semarang, and Ungaran Semarang in Penggaron in
Yeah, I know.
Forest.
I know
Forest, yeah.
Manggaran. All right.
Then the Pinus tree, a lot of in there. And
Okay.
Venus, the west of Venus, like in the flower of Venus, can use the one of the material to production to produce biopellets. Semarang.
All right.
The
Thank
project
you. Mhm.
discover 3 years. Then to 20 and this first for the project program.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Pak Yoyon and Pak Zaki for the discussion. Don't forget to fill the presentation. The links is in the chats, and make sure that you rename your ID underscore name to make us easy to confirm the presentations. Okay, then we will move to the next presenters. Ecological mapping for the development of salt production center in Indonesia during the Dutch colonial era by Bapak Zaki Mahasin. Okay, similar with the previous presenter, you have 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for the discussion. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Novi. Thank you. I will present my presentation. It's about a calculable mapping for development of salt production center in Indonesia during the Dutch colonial era. So we know that salt is the big issue today, and I will present you about how it produced from the since the colonial era to till today. This paper examines why the Dutch colonial government mapping on the ecological condition for the development of South Central Indonesia and how it was carried out. We know that we have much beach coastal Indonesia, but not all of them can make to produce the salt. Salt production in Indonesia is generally carried out by the method of evaporation of seawater. It's different from Australia and other countries with they produce with the mining. Mining it's mean from mountain rock another. This method is applied taking into account the geographical and climatic condition in Indonesia, some of the main factors that make an area suitable for salt production are rainfall, soil texture, land contour, and access to seawater source, wind speed, air temperature, humidity, and sunshine duration. There's many parameters to produce the salt in Indonesia. My research, my method research is causes a historical study. We have 4-step method: heuristic, criticism, interpretation, and historiography. Okay, I will show you my tabel from the Statistical Pocket Book of Indonesia in 1941. In colonial era, Dutch colonial era. Tabel rainfall at a selected location in Jakarta, Bandung, Semarang, Surabaya, Medan, and another. So we know that salt production is mostly in north of Java coastal and Madura. So we know that the rainfall in Semarang and Surabaya in the June, July, August, September, October, November is time for production the salt. It's from a long time ago in Indonesia. We produce salt in the term of month from June to November, and we know that the rainfall is we see in the year score is just only 6 to 0 0 0, and almost is no rain in the several months. And we know the correlation rainfall and salt production. So in the 1936, 37, 38, 39, and 40, we know from the feature here that the higher of rainfall, the lower of salt production. Okay. No, another parameter is humidity. Humidity is not very supportive of the salt production process. Humidity in 1940 was recorded to be above 50% on average, which makes salt production not optimal, especially at this high water content. This process also affects the content of other compounds that affect the purity of the salt. For example, the presence of magnesium sulfate. Magnesium is one of the compounds that has hygroscopic or derivation properties which absorb water from the high humidity of the air. The conclusion, the mapping of salt production centered by the Dutch colonial government took into account ecological conditions including rainfall, soil texture, land contours, and access to sea water resource. Other factors include wind speed, air temperature, humidity, and also the duration of the sun. In Indonesia, so we know that all of the coastal Indonesia, we only produce the salt only in Java, Madura Island, Nusa Tenggara West and East, and Sulawesi. But in Sumatra, Kalimantan, we cannot produce the salt because of the rainfall. Other regions are not suitable to be used as a salt pond for the evaporation system because they do not meet the above mentioned requirement. Okay, so we know that to produce salt, we need the open evaporation. So the location, the suitable for the open evaporation is only in Java, West, Center, and East, Madura Island, Nusa Tenggara, and Sulawesi. Only that. And the another place, another island is not suitable for salt production evaporation. It's since long time ago in the colonial era of the Dutch colonial era. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Zaki Mahasin, for the presentation. It's very interesting to see how we could map the development of salt production centers during Dutch colonial era. Okay, so I will open the Q&A session. Is there any question from the audience?
Maybe me, please.
Okay, please, Mrs. Jenny.
Thank you, Mr. Saki.
Thank
I
you.
want to give one question. How to use critical method for the data from book? Thank you.
How?
To use critical method in historical method for deep, heuristic, critical, interpretation, and historiography. Can you say how you use critical?
Okay. I found my data is in secondary data, in the data from the statistical pocket, and I compare with another data, and then I criticism this data because we know that the like this in the scoring, like in June and another months, June, July, August, September. We can see too in another place like Ambon, maybe Ambon.
Yes.
In the same month, June, Ambon is 400. Very different, very different. So I know that the rainfall is very different in the Surabaya. Surabaya it means Madura. Surabaya is Madura. In Madura and the Ambon. So we know that in the another place I mentioned before, Ambon or the east of Sulawesi, it's the overall coastal cannot produce the salt. We can see in this, but in the Makassar and Kupang, we know the rainfall score is to 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. Is there is no rainfall at all in this month, and then I interpreted this in the graphic, so I know that the correlation about the rainfall and salt production. The higher of rainfall is the lower of salt production. I think like that.
Thank you, Mr. Saki. Maybe I was learning for you.
No, I learn together. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I have one question for Mr. Zaki.
Hey,
Yes, of course.
Yes, sir. Is there any correlation between rainfall on global climate change?
Rainfall and global climate change.
Climate change.
Rainfall is maybe we know in the monthly, daily, but global climate change, we get the data in the 10 years till 50 years, like La Nina, El Nino, like that. In 200 16 overall months from January to December is rain, all rain, all rain. So there is almost no production of salt in several years in the 2016. But there is La Nina. But in the 2017, it's El Nino. Sorry, 2015, itu El Nino. All around the months from the not January but the April to December, there is no rainfall. There is no rainfall. So we get the data that the production of the salt is the biggest one. Biggest one I have recorded from the Dutch colonial till today. That's occurred in 2015. So the global climate change is very affecting to the production salt. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pak Zaki and Pak Yoyon for the discussion. Okay, so please don't leave the room because we will take picture together in the end of the sessions. And okay, so now I will back to the first presenters because Pak Amiruddin is already here. And we are sorry for the administration issues, and we would like to ask Bapak Amiruddin. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Bapak Amiruddin, you have 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for the discussions. The time is yours.
Okay. Okay, right. Yes, thank you, Dr. Novi.
You're welcome.
In this section, good afternoon all. Today, I will present my research paper, Policy to Localize SDGs as Cultural Agent in Central Java. This research aims to reveal how the policies formulated by actors in terms of state and non-state actors in SDGs implementing are realized in the SDGs action plans in the Jawa Tengah, Provinsi Jawa Tengah. The pattern, how the pattern of relation and pattern of contestation that occur during the process of preparing the document were revealed in the study. Based on literature review, starting from the assumption that the SDGs are a global agenda that is positioned as a new development perspective, embedded in social, economic, and environmental development that consider to the principle of sustainability. This study worked with Shaw and Wright anthropological theory of policy, which examine policy as a cultural agents. For Shaw and Wright, policy is essentially a field that mediates perspective that enables the exchange of discourse to take place with multi-directional goals. From this research, I use method. This study was carried out using ethnographic method. Data collection was carried through interviews with 30 informants for 2 months from March 1 to April 30, 2021 at the Office of Regional Planning and Development Agency of Central Java, Bapeda. Result and discussion based on the finding, observation, and data analysis of this study. It was found that in terms of SDGs localization policy in Central Java, this study found that the policy of localizing SDGs that was realized into the action plan for implementing the SDGs took place as a market metaphor, like a market metaphor. The actors who are members of the state and non-state actor make the policy as an agent to canalize and debate the cultural discourse that they get through the socialization process in their fields. A number of these multi-directional goals are united in a commitment to position the SDGs as solution to overcome the real condition of strategic problems. And then in the second sub funding, regional action plan as a cultural agents. There are many non-state actors like ICA, one of my informants, 35 years old, who in the discussion demanded goal handling, consider priority aspect and handling strategies. These two aspects are important and connected as a reflection of how a policy will represent the level of relevance and urgency of the context, real condition, and strategic problem experience. Based on the result of interviews with 30 informants, the debate of the actor about the relevance and urgency of the placement of goals and coping strategies are explained in table 1 below. This is a table show agreement on setting goal and localizing SDGs in Central Java with 3 strategy: mitigation, strengthening, and 2 strategy: mitigation and strengthenings. And then in table 2, this table show a number of SDGs indicator based on authority and data availability in Central Java province with availability of data indicators of available achievement data, indicator of non-available achievement data, regional and national indicator. So we can compare between about the percentage of the indicators, regional and national. And this is a table, so the budget support from government and non-government elements for SDGs in Central Java among 2019 until 2020. The support of budget, budget support divided into 4 pillars of development: social pillar with 5 goals, goals number 1 until goals number 5. Economic pillar with 5 goals also: goal 7, goal 8, goal 9, goal 10, and goal 17. And then environmental pillar with 6 goals. Goals number 6, goal 11, goal 12, goal 13, goal 14, goal 15. And the last pillar of law and governments, only 1 goals 16. So there are some difference between budget support from government and non-government. The table show that the biggest percentage can seen in the pillar of economic pillar, yeah. 19.2, 50%. And then the conclusion, based on the findings, it can be concluded that the policy of localizing SDGs into an action plan for implementing the SDGs in the regions takes place like as an association of the market metaphor. The actors, both state and non-state actors, use the SDGs localization policy is an agent to canalize and debate the cultural discourse that they have occurred through the process of socialization and empirical experience in field themselves. And a number of these multi-directional goals then coalesce into a shared commitment on how the SDGs are positioned as a way to overcome the complex and real condition of strategic problem faced in Central Java. Second, this ethnographic research with its sensitivity to capture the actor's point of view and the ways in which they argue, and combined with its capacity to debate what can be accepted, rejected, and agree upon, is well suited for analyzing how this viewpoint infiltrate each other's public policy making institutions. The set in that context, reconfiguring the perspective of actors who positioning themselves as subjects in policymaking is a starting point for how policy research with progressive anthropological perspective is important to continue to be developed. Okay, thank you, Dr. Nafi. Time is for you.
Thank you very much, Pak Amiruddin, for the presentations. It's really interesting, yeah, how to see the policy to localize the SDGs in Central Java. Okay, so I will open the Q&A session. Is there any question from the audience? Not yet? Okay, just one short question from me, Pak Amiruddin. Okay, so with some model or with some pillar developments that you mentioned in this paper, is there any specific requirement if we want to apply this research method in other city maybe?
Oh, specific method. I can, if we use the qualitative methods, I guess this method is also a part of comply also in the others area for study with the same aspect gitu, because of ethnographic methods is one of the unique method that researcher can explore in material and non-material, tangible and intangible aspect of the in the cognition and behaviors belongs to actors when they take a role in a participant to make a decision for localized SDGs integrated with the regional document. The document belongs to the governments.
Okay, yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, is there any question from the audience or the other participants? Not yet. Okay, thank you, Pak Amiruddin, for the presentations. And if all of you have a question, you can also write your question in the chat box, so you can continue the discussion there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We will move to the last presenters on my list. The title is Orientation of Sasi Culture Values in Maluku from Ibu Jenny Koche, right? Sorry if my spelling right or how.
Yes.
Okay. Jessica. Okay, so you have 10 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes also for the discussion. The time is yours.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Dr. Novi Susanto. Thank you for the opportunity given to me to my present paper entitled Orientation of Sasi Cultural Value in Maluku. I'm Jenny Koche Matita Putih. I'm from Patimura University. Oops. Uh-oh. Oops. Yes. Indonesia has a very large wealth of natural resources. Torbun, in his research on Indonesia, confirmed this point by stating that Indonesia is a country or city with the subtropical and marine forests in the world, but for many years has suffered from the syndrome that disease, namely exploiting natural resources excessively to generate their own profit without regard to natural resources. From the data obtained in the research conducted by Lisdianto, it was found that one in Java Mantan with deforestation retracing 1.8 hectare from years. 21% of Indonesia, 133 million hectares of forest are lost. The loss of forest causes environmental damage, increases natural disaster, and threatens extinction for the preservation of flora and fauna. 2. 30% of Indonesia, 2.5 million hectares of coral reef will damage. The coral reef result in disaster risk in coastal area, threatens marine biodiversity and reduce marine fishery production. Those natural resources will become extinct if their management is carried out in an unsustainable and sustainable manner. It is not surprising that sustainability in natural resources management is a very important issue to develop in this era. Explicitly stated in the Millennium Development Goals, which are the focus and target for developing countries, including Indonesia. According to Chopra, the only solution that should be implemented is a sustainable solution. Increasing environmental degradation in much of the developing world is often linked with rapid economic development and the loss of indigenous knowledge system and traditional resources management institutions. Hence, local, customary, or situational knowledge has a voice in development and conservation discourse. Along with this, care of state that the recent ecological crisis created a new awareness that the ecological crisis can be solved by returning to the ethic of the indigenous people, namely their local wisdom. Local wisdom is basic knowledge needed from living with nature. It is related to culture in the community, which is accumulated and passed on. Local wisdom means harmonious relationship between man, nature, and the built environment in an area that is also influenced by its culture. One form of local community wisdom that regulate that utilization and management natural resources is found in Maluku, known as a SASI. SASI basically has the principles of sustainability and balance of human and natural relationship and man with the creator. SASI was therefore resuscitate and community-based management as environmental wisdom applied to sustainability problems. Based on its practical implementation, SASI can be defined as a system of cultural the management of natural resources by forest and sea at a certain time interval, which are adjusted to the type of natural resources that are confined but in the sea and the forest as an act of the practicing the economic for ecosystem for sustainable living, but for humans, plants, animals, and ocean, which are based on the nation of sustainable process living things. But in reality, over exploitation without careful planning leads to disaster. As a result, natural resources management does not pay attention to environmental balance and preservation, so that SASI acts as a cultural value that must be inherited in order to support natural resources to continue to grow and develop for the next generation. A literature, one I can SASI culture in Maluku and variant in value orientation. I'm choice modification to Trianto and Gallagher and Kluckhohn and Stolberg. Now method. The study uses ethnography research method to describe, analyze, and interpret to culture community. Ethnography research is a qualitative design for describing, analyzing, and interpretation the term of the culture sharing group. Culture, a broad term used to encompass all human behavior and belief. Therefore, research are the key instrument. The most important informant was Raja or the village leader and Kewang because it is difficult to find the culture of Sasi on Ambon Island, which is carried about out by Kewang. This research was conducting on the island of Parua. The data collection technique in this research is observation and interview. The observation are selected so the researchers can see things that will not discuss in the interview. Researchers give freedom of informant in answering questions to strengthen data obtained from observation. After that, triangulation is done to validate one data source with other data sources. Now, result and discuss the orientation of Sasi culture values, modification, the orientation of Sasi culture modification to Trianto, Gallagher, and Kluckhohn and Stolberg. The orientation, Sasi culture of Maluku, human orientation, man orientation, time orientation, activity orientation, and relation. The human orientation, Sasi is aligned with sustainability. Well, sustainability is the dynamic balance with other and the environment in the harmony. The economic value of Sasi make the indigenous Saparua people protect their natural resources for a better life. Sasi is very beneficial for the income of the Saparua indigenous people because the natural resources yield of Sasi has very high economic value due to the quality and quantity of the Sasi harvest. Maybe all participants can see my picture. Ada beberapa gambar di bawah. Kemudian man natural orientation, the orientation of cultural value is based on the view that human only submit to nature, live in harmony with nature or control the nature given by God. SASI application is based on the principle of sustainability and balance of human relationship with natural. Between man and nature are inseparable. Nature is an integral part of human beings. Destruction of nature means also the destruction on the human indigenous people. Time orientation, SASI gives a very important meaning to the Saparua indigenous people because SASI is not only related to past or present orientation, but also the future. Activity orientation, human will always work for their survival only to get position or honor or prestige. In this case, when talking about SASI, the role of Kewang with high dedication is difficult to find and in individual work. However, community life is still kinship to the Saparua indigenous people. Kewang operate without demanding respect or making a name for itself. Kewang works selflessly to protect the customary resources for the life of the Saparua indigenous people. Relation, the social sustainability can be found through the Ma'ano culture. For example, helping each other or helping to harvest the result of natural resources. Communal ownership is defined as a shared ownership causing the right and duty to the manage, maintain, and preserve it together as a form of existence of indigenous policy. Conclusion, SASI must be preserved by Saparua indigenous people as one the local heritage which are rich in cultural value because it is very valuable for the people of Moluccas, especially Saparua, in managing the use of natural resources which are not only environmentally friendly as are recently discussed and announced since the beginning, 20 until 21st century. Modern society realizes the importance of natural resources management for the sustainability of traditional knowledge. SASI local wisdom has been established in Moluccas. To this day, SASI has proven to be very important because it is able to support the sustainability living of the Saparua people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ibu Jose, for the presentations. And okay, so is there any question from the audience?
Kita kan pokoknya mengesahkan perkawinan. Perkawinannya udah
Not yet.
May I ask?
Oh, okay. Pak Zaki.
Mbak Jenny ya. Ya.
Siapa?
Bu Jenny, mohon maaf.
Siapa?
I know that SASI is have a high value because there is environmental wisdom there. But is there any research that counting the value? You mentioned that high value of the SASI. Is there any reason before that mention how much the value of the SASI in Maluku?
Thank you, Mr. Saki.
I know that tangible or intangible value, I know that, but is there any reason that has counting the value of the SASI? Thank you, Mbak Jenny.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saki.
Yeah.
SASI have many value for Maluku. For example, if people can do SASI can support the sustainability living, community economy, for example, marine product for sea cucumber, or Lola's look, or coconut, or durian, or pala, cengkeh, and other. The bigger the size, the bigger the capacity, approximately, for example, 5 or until 10 cucumber for berapa ya, 600.000 itu bahasa Inggrisnya apa ya Bu? Misalnya contoh, ya, without SASI they will only consumed by the community. If they are sold before reaching the exercise, there will only be 10 until 15 a kilogram with low selling price. Jadi, can I answer in Indonesia, please?
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saki. Or maybe Lola's look will grow to 1 kilogram using SASI with 12.000 selling price. If SASI is not used, is the breeding process, Lola's look will only cost 8.000.
Okay, right.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to know that if there is any research that count its species, like you mentioned before, Lola, sea cucumber, and how much
Coconut.
and how much the price each species, and the price or the value is how many or how much we can save with save the species with this method of SASI. So with the SASI, we can save the species. Okay, and how much the species we can save, how much money we can save based on value of the species like Lola, cucumber, and so on. If there is any research for this, we can show to the other that the value of the SASI method in Maluku is have much high value.
How much value?
Yes, high value.
Hike.
High value.
Hike value.
Okay. Thank you, Mbak Jenny.
Thank you, Mr. Saki.
Okay. So this will be a very interesting discussion. Unfortunately, the time is up. Okay, so I would like to invite again for 1972. Are you there? Ibu Retami Aliviani or Nurul Sri Rahartining Tias Cheong Gyokpin? No? Okay. So I think the all presenter is already presents the paper. And now I would like to ask all the presenters to open your cam. And we would like to take the picture together. Ibu Jenny, you could remove your background so we could see your face. Okay.
I'm sorry, it's running in Ambon, so the signal.
It's okay. This time I didn't use also the virtual background because my laptop support the virtual background. Okay. Ibu Laura Andri,
Ibu Zilda Nur Aulia, could you please open your cam? Okay. Bapak Amiruddin, Ibu Zilda, could you please open your cam? Okay. Okay. Sorry. Ibu Laura Andri, would you like? Okay. Okay. The co-host is also open the cam if you want, so we could also see your face. Okay. So please help me to take the picture.
Yes.
Take the picture, host or co-host.
I will count it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for joining us in this parallel session. We're looking forward you to join us tomorrow with plenary and also parallel session. We still have a lot of presentation tomorrow that may be made with your topic of research or maybe with your topic of study. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and take rest and stay safe and healthy. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bu Novi.
You're welcome.
Ya.